Okay, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for being here, all of you fellows, board members, EDs, PDs, everyone. We're just really grateful that you could come and listen to us today. So I picture the fellowship journey like a journey across the ocean. These 2 years feels as if we are sometimes sailing around the world because we believe in a bigger vision. We believe that we can be better and stronger and more capable leaders at the end of this 2 years, and that is why we came. Last semester, we spent 4 months planning for this course. We charted our course with our PDPs, and we were in relatively smooth waters to prepare for the storm that would hit this year. So, to give a quick overview of how I charted my course, I set out to ensure that stellar leaders are accepted into Uprise. I wanted to begin the process of becoming an excellent coach for the people I'd be working with. And I set out to engage with single moms and out mothers and women in refuge. So I started out the year excited about all of these objectives that I would accomplish. And the first wave that hit me in this journey was my own poverty. As an introvert, I gain energy from being by myself rather than in large groups, and this kind of derailed me at times coming into cross-purpose, and I came to believe that being an effective leader meant you had to be extroverted. So throughout this process, I felt that introversion was just this anchor I was pulling around with me instead of an actual strength. So a game changer for me was reading this book called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. So this completely changed the way I viewed myself. I saw introversion as a strength rather than a weakness. And I came to see it as the actual sails on my boat instead of this anchor that was holding me back and keeping me from reaching these goals that I had set out for myself. So some of the strengths that come along with that is being able to engage deeply with people and to listen well and to respond to what people are saying to me, to support people in their efforts to grow. So as I was working through this poverty, and as I'm still working through it, the next wave came, and that was recruitment. So as I said at the beginning, one of the goals for Uprise is to ensure that stellar leaders are accepted into the program. So in order to do that, we had to hit some of these benchmarks. We started out, you can read the data on here, but for almost all of these categories, we just blew them out of the water. And that was thanks to the whole recruitment team. My piece in this was calling people after we received their interest forms. So I spent many countless hours on the phone, made over 350 phone calls to connect with people after they initially said that they were interested in the program and to help carry them through the whole process. In addition to that, I played a part in the interviewing process. Because I wanted to be better at asking questions, I attended 4 motivational interviewing seminars, and I co-led 10 interviews with another leader. And then by the end of this process, I led five interviews on my own. So of these 15 people, 12 were accepted into the program, and 8 made it through training camp and are still in the program today. So after all of the leaders were accepted, I helped with an recruitment analysis to see how we can do this better. I looked at the places that where we found a lot of leaders, and I saw that some places where we got a lot of interest forms that wasn't actually translating to people being part of the program. So I helped pass that information on for the previous recruitment seasons. So after the busyness of recruitment, I went into the next phase of this career, into coaching. And so I wanted to start developing my coaching skills, and I did this by starting to read the book, Coaching Questions. And Greg's teaching on this, I kind of shifted my mindset in coaching, and instead of my default, which is to listen to people's problems and immediately want to come to some solution to fix that problem, I started asking more questions that would help lead them along the process of coming to these solutions on their own. And from the 9 coaching sessions I've had so far, I've completely seen this change the game for people, and I've seen them come to solutions on their own, and I've seen the buy-in and I've seen change from that. So I was given a caseload of 11 leaders. Here's a picture of them, it's kind of dark. And they come from a variety of backgrounds. It's easy to talk about where they came from, ex-offenders, single moms, whatever, but I want to focus on where they're going because I'm so proud of them. So right now there are 4 people attending Emily Griffith, 3 are attending Job Club, and 3 started working. On the handout, you'll see that those numbers are a little bit different because I got a call yesterday after I printed out the handout that one more of my leaders finished his apprenticeship and started working. So yeah, it's so exciting. So I want to focus in on one of my leaders in particular, and he gave me permission to share just a little bit of his story, so I'd like to share that with you. So Jesse was one of the very first people I interviewed on my own, and I quickly saw in the interview that he is compassionate and smart and very, very dedicated. He talked about how he had illnesses as a child, and that really affected him throughout his life. And so he has a dream of being a respiration therapist one day to help other people who, who have helped him. So he left his interview saying, I didn't expect to share this much of my story. I don't normally do that, but I know that this is a safe place and this is where I want to be. So we accepted him into Uprise, and he thrived in training camp from what I saw. Unfortunately, though, he did not score high enough on his TABE test in order to get into Emily Griffith in the program where he wanted to go to. So I volunteered to help tutor him in math so he could make it into Emily Griffith because he was right on the line. So I spent over 10 hours going over high school math with him, which was never something I expected to do. But through that process, we developed our relationship, and he really impressed me by asking for more handouts that he could take home with him and so he could practice more on his own. So what was so rewarding was to see him come up to me on the very last day of training camp, the graduation, and he said that he just found out that he had retaken the TABE test, and he scored a whole letter grade higher than he started out at, and he was able to go to Emily Griffith and start the farm tech program. Here's a quote from him. He said, I'm so proud of myself for finishing something and for developing new habits so I can go back to school with more confidence. And now checking in with him at Emily Griffith, he is just thriving. So a quick update on Single Moms Night Out. On your handout, you can see that we have an average of 16 women coming to each event. That's a combination of steering committee members and women from the community. And we've had 5 meetings where we started out with a Valentine's Day tea party. We've had a canvas and mocktails night. And we've started this Bible study called Lies Women Believe. And as a response to the women saying that they want to grow in their relationship with God and to grow deeper into that. So I have seen women open up and become more vulnerable and open in that space and learn to trust each other more and lean on each other. It's beautiful to see people walking in together saying like, hey, best friend, like I missed you. And so that's just really exciting for me to see. Some of the barriers that I experienced were not always having the most realistic expectations when I claimed my PDP. This is what it felt often. I created my PDP in a vacuum of not really knowing what I would be doing. So all of these meetings I planned to have with women could have worked in the context of not having these other jobs. So as I prepared my PDP this time, I wanted to make sure that my goals were much more attainable. And I also found that 30% probably of my PDP was just irrelevant. It didn't really have bearing on what I was actually doing. So some of my goals for the future is, one, I would like to be a better coach. So I have asked Gigi to sit in on one of my coaching meetings and to provide feedback, as well as ask the leaders permission to take them in a coaching session and then go over it with Greg and analyze it to find out ways that I can be better at that. I also am planning on leading an ally support group. So the allies who are paired with all of the leaders I have, every 6 weeks we will meet together and talk through any issues that they're having, any extra support they need, give them materials they can use with their leaders. And this is close to my heart because I came from that background and I desire to see see this gap bridge between social classes. And I believe that the allies are a critical part in connecting with the leaders and helping them in their journey of change. And so I'm really excited about working with them. Another need I see is the need for consistent childcare workers. Every week feels like a hair on fire situation with desperately scrambling to find people. So I've been on care.com and I now have 5 people who are committed to doing childcare, and my goal is to have at least 20 people who can be on a rotating cycle, so it won't be as much of an issue in the future. And finally, my goal for the future is, even though I've been growing this poverty of seeing myself through a deficit lens, I still recognize that I need wind in my sails in order to make this boat move. And so I have seen that I've often been leading out of my own strength in this season, and I've not been connected to Christ. When Jeff Johnson came to speak to our organization, someone asked him the question, or he answered the question, how do you give this work a lifetime? And he talked about contemplative streams of faith. And so this is something that I am going to research and integrate into my life. I have a couple books on the list to read, and I want to begin that journey of making this sustainable. So finally, I'm going to end with this quote. It says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. That is where I feel like I am right now. I am longing to grow. I'm longing for God's kingdom to be built, and I'm longing for development. So thank you for joining this process with me. Questions?
Are we recruiting efforts happening in Single Moms Night Out, or is your capacity at 16?
Oh, we do not have recruiting efforts right now, but I think that would be something that would be good to happen. But it's not been a conversation because we